Hello everybody, my name is Matt and welcome to another Minecraft tutorial. This is episode 2 of my tutorial series for Mumbo Jumbo's Hermitcraft Season 7 base. If you haven't seen the first episode already, then make sure you go and check that one out first. There'll be a link in the description. And also, if you end up liking the video, then make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of my future videos. In this episode, we are going to be building up the towers from these templates that we laid out on the floor last episode. And in terms of what you're going to need for this, for the outlines, quite simply, you need light grey concrete stacks and stacks of light grey concrete. Like with the first episode, I can't tell you the exact amount that you're going to need, but based on what I've seen Mumbo do and just my own testing of figuring out how to do this, I would say it's going to be multiple inventories worth of light grey concrete to do all 8 towers. So good luck to you if you're doing this on survival. So we'll start with the towers on the straight edges rather than the diagonal edges. And as I mentioned last episode, we are going to be using the inside edge of these templates that we laid out. So we're going to be doing the corners, and we're going to come to any one of these corners, doesn't matter which one you start with. And we're just going to lay out some light grey concrete on the inside of that corner like so. And we'll build it up a few blocks so that it pokes up above the template, and then we'll go do the same for these other 3 corners as well. So once you've done that, it'll look like this with your 3 corners sticking up. And now we can actually get rid of this template that we made, because that is actually all we needed it for. And there we go. Now for the rest of the video, I'm going to be referring to these corners that are near the inside of the octagon. Those are going to be the front, and the ones over here, those are going to be the back. And at the moment, all 3 of these are 3 blocks high, and we want to build these 2 front ones up so that they are a total of 12 blocks high, and those back ones need to be a total of 18 blocks high off the floor. Next, what needs to happen is we're going to come to either one of these taller towers at the back, and from the bottom of it, we're going to zigzag up like this towards the front tower. And then from the front tower, we're going to continue this zigzag, come to here, build up 1, and then continue this zigzag for another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then once you've done that, come back down here to the bottom of the zigzag, add 3 more blocks on top there, so this bit should be 5 blocks high, and then you're going to zigzag this all the way up like so until you get all the way up to the very top up there. There we go. So it should look like that. We can fill this up. So we're going to have a 3 wide tower going up from the top of that zigzag there, and then we just need to go and fill in all these gaps down there as well. So that is what this zigzag on this side should look like once you've filled it all in and it's all done like that. And before we do anything else, we're going to go and mirror this on the other side over there. There we go. I've copied that over there. And now we're going to build up these 2 columns at the front here. Now from what I've already done, this front edge is currently 4 blocks high. And I'm going to build up so that this front edge is a total of 23 blocks high from this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 23. Which I have now done for both of these columns. And as you can see, I've done that across the full 3 block width of the column, but at the top here I haven't done all 3 to the same height. As you go back towards the back of the tower, you're going down at a diagonal, because this is going to form part of the diagonal which goes down towards that back column back there. And in fact, building up that diagonal to the top of there is what we're now going to do. So we're going to come to the top of our back column here, and on this block just here we're going to put a block on top, and from that we're going to zigzag all the way up until we meet the column at the front over here. And there we go, I've done that. And now the same as we did when we did this one down here, we're going to add 3 more blocks on top of that, so this is a total of 5 blocks thick. And you can see that that now nicely lines up with that diagonal we've got going on at the top here. And we're now just going to continue this all the way down to the bottom there. And when you've done that, it should look something a little bit like this. And as you can see, I've done that for both sides. And what we're now going to do, this is like the front part of the spanner, and we're now going to go and build the back part coming out this way over here. So to start that back section off, we're going to come to our back pillars, and you're going to find the start of where you did your diagonal going up to the top like this. You're going to come over to the back, level with that first bit of the diagonal, put one out there going out the back, and now this is going to be a diagonal going up that way, which is going to be a total of 20 blocks diagonally, including this one. So that's 1, and then 2, 3, 4, and so on until you've reached 20. Okay, that looks like that, and of course now what we need to do is the same as what we've done on all the other things over here. Add 3 more blocks on top of each of these, so it's 5 blocks thick, and then copy the whole thing over to this side as well. There we go, I've done that for both of these sides, but as you can see, if you look down here, it looks a little bit funny because of the way we've raised this up. So before we go and do anything up here, we're just gonna quickly fill that in like that, so it's a nice smooth diagonal on both sides, and make sure we do that over here as well. So now that we've sorted that little bit down there out, we can come back up here and continue with building stuff up here. So these two sides, like we did at the front here, are going to become 3 wide columns going up, and going by the outside edge at the back here from this edge, we want this to be 23 blocks high. So what is it at the moment? It's 3, 4, 5, 6 at the moment on this one. So we want to extend that up to be 23 blocks high and do the same over there. Alright, there we go. If we take a look at this now, it's kind of starting to look a little bit recognizable as something you might see on Mumbo's base. Anyway, to continue building this thing up from these ones, we want to go diagonally up and towards the front, so that way. And we're going to go from this one, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And this is going to be 14 going that way. So including this one at the very back here, it's going to be a total of 15 diagonally up there. Great, so that looks like that. And now, same as all the others, we want this to be 5 blocks thick, but we're going to add those extra 3 blocks below it this time, rather than above it. Getting quite close to finishing the outline now. So the next bit is from these peaks up here. We want to extend these down to have a column that if we're going by this edge here, which is currently 5 blocks, we want that to be 31 blocks in total. Going down, so that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on down to 31. And of course, as with all the others, that column is 3 wide and it's going to be replicated over on that side. And then once you've got those two built, to connect it up to this bit, we're going to come down to this and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 diagonally up. And then from this 7th one, we're going to start going, we're going to go one above it and go diagonally like this, oops, like this, towards our bits we've just built up there. And if you've done that correctly, you should find that when you join up here, you get a perfect diagonal going down from this bottom corner. Now you know what I'm going to say, we're going to add these blocks on top like this so that it is 5 thick, and we're going to do that all the way up, and we're going to replicate this over there. Now we are very nearly there with these outlines for our first tower. There's just a couple more stages to do. Firstly, we're going to come down back to the base, and if you remember, we have these bits sticking out like this, and you can start from any one of these 4 corners where it's sticking out. I'm going to start from this one, and where you have these 2 blocks sticking out like this, you're going to continue this all the way around the very outside edge of your shape, so that it comes back around and meets back to this one. And of course, we're going to do this on both sides. So with that done, it should look like this now on both sides. And then the very last bit we need to do is there's just a couple of spots that we need to connect these 2 sides up with. The first is at the front here between these 2 towers. From the top of these bits here, if we use 2 blocks connecting across like that, and then 1 on the diagonal there. And then up here, we're going to do the same on this side at the back to there with 1 on the diagonal. Oh, and I actually forgot there is a third bit, which is in this bit up here between these two. At the very top, again, 2 and 1 on the diagonal. And there we have it. That is a completed outline of our first tower. And now what we need to do is repeat this for our other 3 towers on the straight sides, which I have now done. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the towers on the straight sides, and now it's time to start work on these ones on the diagonals. So we're going to start off the same way as we started the other ones, by filling in these corners with 3, going that way and like that, just so it comes up slightly above these outlines we've done. And once we've done that for all 3 of these corners, we can just knock out the outline like so. Now, because we are working on a diagonal, some of the proportions we're working with these towers are going to be a little bit different to the ones that we worked with over on these ones on the straight sides. Now, these 2 front towers, they are going to start off the same way. They're going to be built up to 12 blocks high. These 2 back ones, however, are going to be a little bit taller. We need these to be 20 blocks high, and I'll get on to why there's that difference in a little bit. There we go. That is our 4 base pillars done. Now, if you take a look over there, you can see that when we built that diagonal there, we started at the floor. However, with this one, because we're working across a diagonal here, the distance between 2 blocks like that is bigger than the distance between 2 blocks when we did it straight like that, which means that the actual angle that this goes up at is going to be slightly different. So we need to start a little bit higher on these ones. We're going to leave 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks, and then on the 5th block, that is where we're going to start our diagonal from. So that's going to be our first block of the diagonal heading up towards there. On the 5th block there, and then we're going to work up at a diagonal like this until we hit the edge there. And then all these blocks down the side here, these were temporary blocks. We can go ahead and delete these. So we just have that diagonal line going up there, and then add 4 blocks on top of each of these, so that it is that same 5 block thickness that we've used for all of our other diagonals. There we go. And now in a second, we're going to copy this over here, and then we're going to continue the diagonal up that way. Right, I've done the same on the other side there, and as I said, now we're going to continue this diagonal up from like this. And this bit is exactly the same as we did over there. We're going up diagonally like in this direction for 10 blocks. So that's 1 there, and then 2, and so on. And then once you've done that, you can come back and delete all these blocks down the side. That there is our 10 block diagonal constructed. And if I come down here, I should be able to extend this diagonal down like this, so that it lines up perfectly with that one we created lower down there. Oh, and I have actually made a mistake here. I've done a few of these too high, so I can just knock those top ones off and add them to the bottom here. There we go. Now we have that nice smooth diagonal coming all the way down from this pillar all the way up to the front of our tower over there. Now the next bit is also the same as we did over there. This front edge, which is currently 5 blocks, needs to be a total of 23 blocks. So we're going to build that up, and we want it to be 3 blocks thick like that. So we're going to build this all the way up so that this front edge is 23 blocks, and again, same on that side. Next, to join these 2 back pillars up with our front bits up there, we actually need to go a little bit higher on these, but only at the sides. So leave these 2 back bits as they are and build up 2 more blocks on the side like that. And then starting from this one, we're going to go up and across 1 like this, and keep doing that all the way up until we meet that pillar, and then knock out all these spare blocks at the sides. And when you've done that, you should find that when you add the blocks to the top of this to make it 5 blocks tall, that it lines up 1 block below that diagonal that you've created on the top of this pillar. And we're going to continue this all the way down like that, all the way back to that back pillar. So when you've done that for both sides, you want to have this smooth diagonal coming all the way down from the top of that bit at the front there, all the way down to this block here at the very back corner of your back pillars. To do this back diagonal, you may remember that on these ones on the flat edges, we went 20 blocks out. On this one, we are only going to be going out 12. So from this back corner, if that's 1, then 2, then 3, and so on for 12. Now the way I've done that, starting from this block, I've actually done the top of that diagonal. So when we extend it down to be 5 blocks thick, we actually want to come below it like this. Don't add those blocks above it if you started from that same block that I did. For this back edge, this is another bit which is going to be different to these ones on the straight sides. That one was 23 blocks. This one, we want this back edge to be a total of 31 blocks going up. So it's quite a bit longer than those ones we did over there. For this diagonal going up towards the top, including this back block, it's going to be a total of 11 blocks going diagonally. So the same as we did before, just going up like this, and then getting rid of all these spare blocks on the side. When you've done this, you should find that the top blocks of these ones on your diagonals are actually 2 blocks lower than the top ones of the ones you did on your straight sides. Now this is something Mumbo actually talked about when he did his video on this section of his base. Basically it's just a consequence of the slightly different proportions caused by being on the diagonal. There's not really any way around it, and it does look better to do it this way and have it 2 blocks lower than it would to fiddle with it so that it was the same height. You'd end up with all kinds of weird proportions. So especially given the size of these things, that slight 2 block height difference doesn't really matter. And this is exactly the way that Mumbo did it in his base, and as we've all seen, his base looks fine. So don't worry about the fact that this is 2 blocks lower. It's supposed to be like that. I just thought I'd give that a quick mention. Anyway, on with the build. We are doing this straight side. This is going to go down there, and from this block it's going to be a total of 31 blocks going down. So that's what, 5 at the moment. So I'm going to extend that all the way down to 31, and I will see you guys in a second once I've done that. And there we go, I've done that, and as you can see, I've gone ahead and done it across all 3 of those, and I've already lined up this bottom bit to be a diagonal pointing down towards that front diagonal there. So to build up the rest of this diagonal coming from here, we're going to come down to the V here, the center of this V-shaped bit, and we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks up towards the front, and from this 8th block, starting from that one, we're going to start coming up and diagonally back like this until it meets up with that up there. So I've done that, and fortunately it did line up correctly with the bottom of this, which means I counted everything correctly. And as you can see now, we just need to make sure we extend that diagonal at the top down all the way so it's nice and smooth coming into this diagonal. And now I'll go and do the same on the other side. Now that that's all done, we can do the same as we did on our straight ones and bring these 2 blocks so that that kind of pattern extends all the way around the edge of our shape. However, as you can see, this being on the diagonal, we can't just bring it straight out. We have to do this zigzagging pattern like this when we're on the diagonals, and then when we're on the straight bits, we'll be able to just do 2 blocks coming out like that. So we're going to copy this kind of pattern all the way around the outside. I'm going to do that on both, and I will see you guys once I've done that. And now that we've done that, all that is left to do is to do these 3 bits joining the 2 sides. So that's going to be between here, between those bits, and between those bits way up there. And this pretty much is exactly the same as when we did it before. On these bits here you have a 2 high bit just going straight between those, and then coming out 1 on the diagonal like this. Just make sure you zigzag it for that bit. So we've done that there. We're going to do the same here with our 2 and our 1 there, and the same up here with our 2 and our 1 there. And there we go, guys. I finished off that, and as you can see, I've also gone ahead and built up the frames for the other 3 of those diagonal towers. So that is all done now, and I think that is probably enough to be getting on with for this episode. So I'm going to leave this one here, and as always, there will be a world download in the description, which will be in 1.16 now that the full release is finally out for that. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos, and also leave a comment letting me know what you thought. But until next time, I've been Matt, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.